Chidambaram, Dr. Saraswat, for putting together this very interesting session. Okay, like I said, well, I'm going to talk about DST's perspective, which is Department of Science and Technology, about Indian science, technology, and innovation ecosystem. So what are our major challenges? So major challenges are, of course, increasing the number of scientists who are committed, quality scientists. If you compare ourselves with China, China has about 5 to 6 times the number of scientists that we have. If you look at per capita scientists, any of these so-called technologically advanced countries would have number of scientists which are 20 to 50 times larger per capita that we have. Clearly, we are doing, as was pointed out by Honorable Prime Minister in the morning, in terms of quantity, the output of basic research, we are doing rather well. We are number 6 in the world and growing very, very fast. We are growing at a rate of 14% when rest of the world is growing at 4%. But there is a lot more to be done in basic research. That has to do also with the quality of basic research that we put out. The creativity, the innovative element in basic research needs some enhancement, and this is based on evidence. So if you look at evidence, you capture the numbers which are related to impact factors, citations, and so on. There would be a gap between quantity and quality. We need to start on new areas of basic research that would secure our future. For example, I would talk a little bit more about it. Another challenge is from basic fundamental research to developing technology and innovations around the problems, for example, that of energy, water, health, environment, climate, and so on. Now, because these are highly interdisciplinary topics, so oftentimes the funding agencies, we fund things under chemistry, physics, biology, and so on. But the problems of energy storage, for example, is not simply a problem of materials, not simply a problem of chemistry or physics and so on. So we have to get everybody together. Our ministries have to work together to solve these real problems. So in terms of ministries working together with higher education, working with technology development, industry and commercialization remain challenges. Ease of doing science was already pointed out again by the Honorable Prime Minister in the morning, that we need to empower scientists, we need to simplify processes, at the same time with accountability of doing science. So these are some of the major challenges which are in terms of quality of basic science, in terms of technology, in terms of innovation, in terms of basically getting people excited about science and technology and retaining the best in this stream. So I would not talk about everything which is going on. The list would be so huge that we not get through it because everybody is invited to look at the annual report or the website of Department of Science and Technology for the thing that you are looking for. But I will just talk about some of the major new initiatives which address the challenges that I outlined. Of course, the happy news is that there was an increase in the budget. How much? In the last 2 years, we had an increase of about 60%, which in fact is unprecedented. The budgets had stayed kind of flat for the last 5 years before that, but now we are in the happy situation that everything which is worthwhile can in fact be supported. We are working on road to greater financial and personal flexibility in our processes. In terms of quality of basic research, we have introduced a new program through SERB. Some of you know what SERB is, Science and Engineering Research Board, which is called High Risk, High Gain Research. So we in fact want people to undertake research which may be high risk, but if it is successful, you would reap very huge amount of benefits from it. It's not actually shameful to fail. It is shameful not to try. So I would invite all our creative, scientists, young scientists, to actually come in and apply in this particular scheme. There are two new schemes. We are working with other ministries in a very strong way. For example, MHRD has two schemes which are focused on research and development, one of them is Imprint, the other is Uchchitar Avishkar Yojana, and DST is a strong partner in both of these schemes in order to reach out the best of our scientists in universities, IITs, R&D institutions, and so on. There is a young scientist scheme. In fact, you want to, reverse the brain drain. You want to have brain gain and also provide opportunities for young people. One of them is National Postdoctoral Fellowship. About 1,000 of those are available. So until one gets the great permanent job that one is looking for, you want to shore up your CV, want to do great research meanwhile. So this would actually be a very good scheme. Also, people who join a place, it takes them time to set up their lab and get going. We want to cut down on this time. There was a time, for example, when I started my academic journey, it was very common for people to wait 5 to 10 years before they get their lab space, before they get support for research and get going. We don't want that. A young researcher who has recently joined a university, IIT, whatever, should get started with his or her research right away. And this particular scheme, the research initiation scheme, allows you to do that. Of course, we all know that we need to bring in 50% of our society in science and technology field, so which are women scientists. There is a huge scheme called Kiran now. It's got 3 components. Women scientists can do research and development working in a host institution. They can also do societal applications of science and technology working with an NGO, or can get trained in patent management. So all of these are very good streams for women scientists, but this is an area that needs to be scaled up hugely. What that means is it's not enough just to have, reach out to PhD women scientists, but you have to start from the early pipeline, from the bottom of the pyramid, which is that high school girl students ought to get into these disciplines which are underrepresented for women scientists, which include, for example, all kind of engineering, technology, mathematics, physics, and so on. And so we want to have a very big push in that particular direction. What are the priorities or new programs? Again, Honorable Prime Minister in the morning had talked about cyber physical systems, big data. This is the future both of our country as well as humanity. It's going to be hugely challenging. What are cyber physical systems? Cyber physical systems are pretty much like human beings because they got physical on one side and digital and cyber on other, and they are combined together. So, a whole lot of jobs that people do now are going to be done by these machines. We have all seen these movies, right? Rise of Machines and so on. Within 10 years is going to be a reality. I have to give you some examples. We started in a small way in DST this program on smart sensors. These are sensors which are very cheap, which are very small. You throw them out in thousands, in tens of thousands, along Ganges, in the soil, in the air. They have their own power supply. They continuously send out information. This information is processed through big data analytical techniques. And so it's a huge, a huge thing for taking decision making, for governance, for understanding actually what is going on, what kind of technology intervention is working or not working. I will just skip some of this. A very interesting thing is reconstructing our heritage in the cyberspace or digitally. So Hampi, for example, is an example. So you do 3D printing model of Hampi or any of the structures, and then build in all the information regarding that structure. So you can take actually a cyber walk through it. It looks like as if you are walking in the real structure over there. So this kind of technology is truly amazing. It's truly transformative. I would not be surprised that, you know, another 5 years from now, you can actually walk into a museum here in Delhi and actually do the entire Bharat Darshan in a very effective way. You know, visiting even the ghats of Banaras, taking a boat ride over there and get the real feel, the real texture of the journey. Waste management is very important, waste to wealth. There are 3 new areas which are extremely important for India. These are electronic waste, plastic waste, and biomedical and hospital waste. Clean fuels and clean coal technologies, a lot of it is being driven by Dr. Saraswat, Niti Aayog. A lot of it is driven by Principal Scientific Advisors Office, Dr. Chidambaram. And so we got into this game. This is where the whole punch is for the future. So we want to convert coal into chemicals, we want to convert coal into fuels. At the same time, our power generation is hugely dependent on coal. About 60% power is produced by coal. So all the carbon emissions and the energy efficiency there has to be hugely improved. Electric mobility is another program, right? So, you know, having better storage, electrochemical storage systems and so on. Finally, let me say, you see, we as a nation need to grow at a rate of at least 8% for the next 30 years to get everybody out of poverty, right? If that is our goal, not all of this growth will come from rural sector. For example, agriculture would grow at about 4%. So the way a rural economy would grow is by taking a relevant micro industry to rural areas. I will give you an example of that. So we have to really think very hard. This particular challenge is clear and present. You know, and there are huge challenges related to developing relevant technology for rural sector. I'll skip that. Here is the example. For example, if you take any agriculture waste or bio waste, using cogeneration techniques which are very efficient, you can convert that into many different things which are needed. These things are electricity, water, cold storage, so air conditioning for cold storage, and also power to run the crop processing machines. So all of that actually can be done, and the payback periods could be 2 to 3 years. So this would generate huge amount of employment, skills, and relevant resources in rural sector. So there is a whole suite of technologies which use local resources to satisfy local needs for rural areas. And so that is certainly a focus. Innovation ecosystem is important for all of us. It's important even more for the young people who are sitting here 5 years, 10 years from now, that we need to turn technology into innovation. So, what is new in that? We're saying, look, there's a new program called Nidhi, and this actually it covers the entire chain of innovation, or the entire pyramid of innovation, or whichever way you want to look at it. What is it? You need to scout for innovations, you need to showcase innovations, you need to train innovators, you need to mentor innovators, you need to convert ideas into prototypes, you need fellowship support for the people who want to have startups, you need seed support for people who want to have startups. So all of that has to be covered under innovation ecosystem. If there is a single weak link somewhere, then the whole chain will collapse. So this is a holistic way to address the problem of innovation ecosystem. We need to connect industries with technology startups that gives them early direction and mentoring, and a lot of that is happening. Already 200 companies have been connected, startups have been connected with big companies. There is a technology park being supported in IIT Gandhinagar, and our goal is to make a new technology park every year, right? So 10 years from now, you would have 10 huge technology parks, which allow all the young people to walk in there, try out their ideas, generate wealth for themselves and jobs for others. At the same time, we should remember that, you see, not all innovations, not all relevant technology comes only from universities, IITs or PhD students. There is a whole lot of things, ideas that come from ITIs, that come from polytechnics, that come from farmers, that come from rural areas, that come from all sorts of people. And so therefore, scouting and mentoring these innovators and innovations is equally important, and we are working on that. So let me skip some of that because we're getting a little bit late. Of course, another dimension of doing science and technology is to have the best of global connects. These are some examples that tell you that India is working very strongly with large number of countries. In particular, Department of Science and Technology has active programs with 45 countries, of which, for example, US, UK, Germany, Japan, Israel now, and France, they are the big partners. Our approach to international collaboration is based on our needs and their strength. So we should not actually collaborate in any arbitrary area, right? If I already have the strength in that area, I don't need to worry about it. So we must see very clearly what our needs are, in which areas we need to grow, and then actually scout for these areas globally. To give you an example, we have new agreements with Japan in Internet of Things, in South Korea with robotics, with Israel in water for agriculture and cyber security. As was already talked about, there are lots of very strong programs with the USA and UK which are focused on clean energy, energy storage, building energy efficient materials and energy efficient buildings, and smart grids. The smart grid is the future for a country like India. So if you don't know what a smart grid is, please look it up on Google Guru, and it's very exciting. I'll just give you a little bit about what is coming in 2017. So this is a trailer, if you would, for 2017. There's a huge push on inclusive innovation, promoting innovation ecosystem, not just at the top of the pyramid, which we are already doing, and we are doing it in a much more enhanced way, but we also have to reach out to the bottom of the pyramid, which means reach out to students in middle school, in high school, and so that they become great champions of innovation 5 years from now or 10 years from now. What we want to do here is reach out to 5 lakh schools in the country. There's 500,000 schools. Get top 2 ideas from each school. So you got 1 million ideas to start with. Now these 1 million ideas, at least 100,000 of them would be converted to prototype, which means that we actually pay these kids, we mentor these kids, we train these kids, we give them workshop facilities and so on to convert the top ideas into prototypes, get patents and so on. So it's going to be hugely exciting, very transformative for these school kids, and to basically diffuse the gospel of innovation, scientific excitement into the school kids. As I said, we have huge things coming up for women scientists and saying, look, how do we intervene at different points of their career? So it's getting high school girls into colleges, but you can't stop there, because I saw in the Children's Science Congress, there were 63% girls who were participating. So 63%. But you go along this chain, you go to college, they drop, then you get to PhD, they drop some more, you get to jobs and faculty and so on. They're reduced to less than 10% in this country. So we need different interventions at different points of their career. And this is what we want to do starting this year. National geoinformation systems are extremely important for any decision making, for any kind of governance. And it's very exciting that this is going to take shape this year. The first of our indigenous 500 teraflop or half a petaflop supercomputer is going to be built up by CDEC in Pune, and this has received a huge push by Dr. Saraswat. So we are kind of committed to deliver the first huge supercomputer made in India within 1 year now. And of course the plans are to make 50 more and spread them all over the country, which are connected, and so that everybody can actually get on this and use them. We also want the best of people, global scientists, to visit us, to be part of us, to maintain a lab here. to have students here, to have collaborations going, to be adjunct faculty here, to have some dedicated research going here. So for that, that's leveraging the global best, and we would come up with a new program to do that in this year. Okay, so I stop there. Thank you very much. I exceeded my time by 2.5 seconds, but I apologize for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.